Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nitsa coming back with another bullseye tutorial here today on the channel. I wanted to talk about delays. You know, I'm gonna speak today about the Echo Boy from Sound Toys and a couple also different, throwback delays that I kind of like to use on my mixes a lot. So let's not waste no time. Let's jump right into the music. If y'all got any more questions or different ideas for videos y'all want to see down below, don't forget to drop it. You know, this is a very interesting plugin because usually before this, I was using things like, like a stock delay or H delay. And the reason what made me appeal to this specific delay was the fact that it had so many different types of styles, specifically with the way it saturates and the way it breaks up. And that's one of the things that I'm really big on, especially with, effects that I use in general. I like them to have a little bit of texture. I feel like sometimes things like delay throws and, delays in general are a great way to just let the listener know that, hey, this is something new that I'm adding. Sometimes when you're in a situation where you're doing the ad libs and you're repeating the same thing in the same tone that the lead vocal is given already, then you're not really adding nothing new to the music. So in a situation like this, I think that that kind of blew my head because that made me realize why delays are so important, because they're adding a new spice to the pot, a new ingredient to the soup. So let's look at some of the different flavors that we get with the Echo Boy. So you have these first two things, which is mastering tape and studio tape. The very first delays were tape. They were produced by the tape machine. They had a certain way they was playing with the playback head and the repro head, and the distance between both of them. All tape machines are different and everything like that. But the most important thing with the ATR is that it has a very nice high fidelity to it. This is a type of tape that people, they would use in a lot of mastering houses, crispiness, that clarity. And a part of that, getting some of that high fidelity, making the delay become, audible in all of the music. There's a lot of stuff going on. The music is like a whole community, and sometimes you want the delay to just be like that standout citizen. So some way that you would go about doing that is like a higher tape speed. So tape speed of about 30 IPS or 15, those have a little bit better high-end frequency response, and something like 7.5 has a poor frequency response. So it kind of gives that kind of radio effect without even having to do any type of filtering. Another great thing that I like to always use with tape delays is a slapback echo. So that's one of the kind of like the most famous ones of the delays, and I think that's pretty important too, because I feel like the early reflections of like a room, which you can produce with reverb, a doubler effect, and a slapback echo, they're kind of like brothers. They're kind of like in the same exact family a little bit piece, where they create that space. Because sometimes when you do a dub, you do a lead vocal, you do an ends, it could kind of make your whole mix sound a little bit smaller, just due to the fact that like when it's something like an iPhone that produces mostly mid-range sound, kind of like Black Friday when everybody trying to rush through them little Walmart doors all at the same time to go get that little TV. Ain't nobody finna get through, because everything is trying to fit in all at the same time through a small space. So that's the thing about why I like to use something like a slapback, because it's just giving me all of the benefits without any of the negatives. So then another thing that I really liked a lot about the Echo Boy is just the fact that I love how it kind of like works into my template. So it gives me the dual echo, single echo, ping pong, all of these different types of stuff that H delay doesn't really give you. So I had to learn how to walk before I ran, so I perfected H delay pretty much. I learned it inside out. I learned that plugin inside out pretty much, but now I don't really use it anymore. With delays is I don't ever like my delays to step over everything. So what I always do is I like to do like a little bit of mid-side processing. As you can see here, I cut off the center channel by about like 2 or some dB, and I boosted the sides a little bit, and it really just helps a lot, rather than I find myself not always having to use the sidechain compressor for the vocals and the delay that much anymore, because I have something like that where it's not getting in the way in the middle, it's not building up. So let's also listen to a part that I had over here in the end that I like to use the delay throws to create a little bit of emphasis, a little bit, give them the TikTok moment. That's what I love delays for as well. I'm telling the listener in the end that, yo, this is the TikTok moment, this is the one you gonna turn up for. So that delay was pretty dynamic in my opinion with the way I did it, because I actually added like a couple of different things to get that throw to sound like that. So this is one of my favorite reverb plugins right now. I love using a reverb and delays, because especially a different reverb from the delay, because it helps add a kind of like a brand new dimension. So that's how like I glue and separate things. Sometimes if I want to glue things together, I will put them with the same reverb, but sometimes if I want to separate them, I will use a whole new reverb or a whole new type of delay that has a whole different type of, you know, timbre or a way that it breaks up and distorts. And that's kind of how I create, you know, separation inside of my mix. So I use this preset, which is Ghost Verb, from my favorite reverb plugin right now, which is H Verb. Then after that, I used a meta flanger. So it's kind of very interesting because the first delay comes in, but then as it's kind of breaking up, then you kind of start to hear the meta flanger come in a little bit. The TikTok moment where they could just turn up to it. You know, first they get that little bit of, you know, actual delay, but then the flanger starts coming through. So it's kind of like the delay is changing itself, which is amazing. And you know, after that, I used another delay, which is the you know, another thing I kind of like to do, using a delay inside of a delay, which is kind of crazy. But you guys kind of have to do some different things, especially when it comes to like a one-shot moment. And that's why I love using delays to create that one-shot moment. I'm giving them that moment right there, and they ain't never getting it again. So they could be like, wow, you know, this is my favorite part of the song. Like, oh, you play that Black Pit, bro, fam, you heard that, fam? Bro, you gotta play that back, fam. Listen to that bit, bro. You feel me? You gotta let people have a moment that is for them, that's specialized for them, that they could get into the song and start vibing. So that's what the delay does. And I like to use this primal tap. It's kind of like a multi-tap delay. You know, it has like many different type of you know, timings inside of it. Usually before, when I was using delay throws, I always used to love using this plugin, which is still one of my favorite plugins that you can get with UAD Spark. It's kind of like the Galaxy Tape Echo is what they call it. And with this one here specifically, it's amazing because it also helps you produce like a spring reverb type of thing. And that's another great thing about, you know, delays, the first delays that kind of blow my mind. You know, they was able to do like flanger, they was able to do a chorus effect, all using delays, which is so crazy how delays work, you know. And this one actually lets us produce a spring reverb separately from the actual, you know, type of echo that we have here. But the main thing that I want to talk about is the way that it self oscillates. So self oscillation is like when the echo that bit start going into itself, and it starts like it starts, you know, it kind of starts sounding like a spaceship a little bit. I have another video about that. If you go check my UAD Spark playlist, you're gonna see it. But I just really like how this echo kind of just like it starts to reverberate into itself, and it starts to give you some crazy effects. I used to always use this for delay throws. And that's kind of bringing me back to the Echo Boy a little bit. You know, you also get the opportunity to have all of these different types of vintage delays and everything like that, that give you all these type of different sounds and different vibes. And it just makes making music fun again, you know? And that's the main thing that I'm always trying to do. I'm trying to make that music, you know, fun. And the great thing too is that you have the option between the time, the note, the dot, the trip. You know, you get to pick all of these different type of, you know, kind of on beat or kind of off beat type of rhythms that, you know, sometimes I like to have one side doing one thing and the other side doing another. That's kind of like a classic trick that people did a lot back in the day. So we have all these different types of, you know, distortion characteristics in the delay. And usually with the delay, how I always love to set the delay, what I did on purpose is because I know, you know, it has the saturation part of it. I did the full send and I hit that bit hard. So sometimes when you're using like an analog delay, you might just want to do a full send for the aux, so you swack that bit hard, because you got to think about the input and the output. You know, it has like a way it grits up a little bit, you know, a way it start balling up a little bit, where it's gonna start getting a little you know, and that makes for a very good type of point of reference. If you got a clean vocal but then you got a dirty little delay in the background, now they gonna be able to hear everything, versus where if you got a clean vocal and a clean delay as well, it's not really gonna stand out, it's not really gonna poke out. That's one thing I kind of like about the Cooper Time Cube. It's not a tape delay, you know, and that's what the Echo Boy also gives you. You know, there's some delays that are taped, there's some that isn't, but with this one specifically here, they put a garden hose inside of a box, and it kind of does like a certain way that it loops around. And I really like this one as well, just for the effect. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys today. You know, sometimes you want to not even be able to hear the delay, but it creates its own space. And the delays are always just such a great way of, you know, using the opportunity, but you need to keep your ears open to understand that, you know, maybe I can do this type of delay sound for a song, maybe I can't. So that's kind of what I'm giving today, is my mindset. So I love using automation with the delays as well, and I don't like You know, some people like to, you know, highlight it and just pull it up, but I kind of don't like doing that. I kind of like bringing in my human element into it, you know, which is something that you always got to try to do when you're an engineer. Put your personality into that bit. You literally saw me on the automation, how I was moving the fader. It wasn't perfect, but guess what? It sounded great. And the way that it kind of had a rhythm in the beat, it was perfect. So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. This is kind of like a video today where I just wanted to give a little brief overview of how good the Sound Toys Echo Boy is. I'll probably do another deeper dive video into it. I feel like this one is another one that's great for instruments, so I'll probably do a video where I'm actually delaying instruments rather than vocals. So I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Appreciate y'all now. Peace.